Hello, Internet. Welcome to another edition of Eric's Corner with the word to the not so wise. Today we are going to be talking about the electric car scam. Now, I say scam for a reason. I'm not saying electric cars aren't a good way to go. I'm not saying that they aren't the way of the future. I just disagree with the way they're going about it. I'm really excited about this episode. I think I have it pretty put together. I've put a lot of thought into this. So before we start, if you are a big fan of Eric's Corner, smash that subscribe button, and maybe I can make a little cash doing this, and I can make a little better episodes and, maybe improve my set here a little bit. So I call it a scam because they're going very gung-ho about battery power. We all know batteries are heavy. The lithium it takes to mine them, to mine it is taking a lot of child labor in Africa, which I mentioned before would be a humanitarian crisis if it wasn't something that was benefiting us and you're our fucking elitist fat faces. I discussed before, this is going to be a very big topic. I got to dip into global warming, climate change, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of layers to this video, and I'm gonna have to make sub videos and shoot off on other things later, but I'm going to try to keep it to the point. So first of all, electric vehicles, the government is so gung-ho about going all battery power as soon as possible, and it's just our Lord and Savior of the climate change issue, and there is absolutely no research that I've seen anywhere that says a battery-powered car is the solution. See, a battery does not produce power. It simply stores it for later. So you have all these battery-powered cars getting their energy from from coal and all these other, fossil fuel burning energy sources. California said stop charging your electric car because it's overpowering the power grid. It's very weird to me that almost overnight we went to, hey, go all electric cars. Oh, stop plugging them in. Like, how many people bought electric cars all of a sudden that it was overwhelming the power grid? I thought those things happened way too close to each other. So to me, there are better solutions for this. The auto industry has been making hybrids for a long time. I used to sell cars back when I turned 20, so 17 years ago or whatever. And they were first starting. I worked for a GM dealer. They started coming out with hybrids. Okay, cool. They only got 20 miles to the gallon in town on the highway. Okay, cool. That's not fantastic. And the price tag of $15,000 or $20,000 more dollars was a bit hard to swallow. Okay, again, we're going to have some growing pains, and to somebody that has that kind of money, it's not such a big deal to them to spend that extra money, because it's going to take you 20 years of driving this car to get your money out of that small amount of extra fuel economy. Okay, cool. We're going to have growing pains. I get it. It's never going to be an overnight solution. They're trying to make it one, but it's not going to be. Well, here we are 15 years later. I'm not really seeing much improvement. Lexus, I saw a commercial. They said, oh, it's a hybrid, gas for long trips, battery for short trips. Okay, hasn't that been the Prius all along? That's what the Prius has always done, which I thought they should take the Prius power plant and apply it to other vehicles, because I thought it was a great system. They just had to make the car ugly as all hell. I'm not quite sure why they had to do that, but they had to, and they did. People are already, the claim is made, oh, hey, these things will last 50 years, 80 years. Oh, they'll last so much longer. Well, no, because they still rust. They still have batteries that need to be replaced, and people are already complaining about $15,000, $20,000 battery replacements on a car that's 10, 15 years old that essentially isn't even worth what it costs to replace the battery. I'm seeing pictures and videos of these massive parking lots, not literal parking lots, graveyards, really junkyards full of electric cars that are too expensive to repair. And, I talked about the hybrids they were coming out with. It was always engine, transmission, electric motor, big battery. And then another one comes out: engine, transmission, electric motor, big battery, engine, transmission, electric motor, big battery. Where is the hybrid here? Because you still have your big powerful engine and a big heavy electric motor, and then a big heavy battery, and then a transmission that is the Achilles heel of every vehicle. I mean, automatic transmissions, while have come obviously a long ways and are fantastic, there's still a lot of moving parts and a lot of things to wear out, and are essentially pretty junky when it all comes down to it. I mean, they only last 250,000 miles on average. I covered that in another video. So I'm going, when are they going to go with a gas or diesel electric vehicle? Now, when I think I mentioned the power plant, I mean not what gives it energy to power it. I mean what actually puts the vehicle down the road, a big electric motor or an engine. Ever since I found out how a locomotive worked when I was a wee one, I think my dad told me, and he's like, oh, they're actually big electric motors and there's a big diesel engine to provide power to it, which is great because just tremendous amounts of torque. I don't even know how many volts those things are running on. I didn't look into it. It's not relevant. But so just to give some kind of perspective, so and this is the part of the video I'm pretty excited about. I've done some vague Googling, and my numbers are probably really wrong and off. I'm not an electrical engineer. I know a lot about electricity, but kind of only the basics. But this is a 2 kW generator. Obviously, you saw me pick it up. It's very small, very lightweight. I did some number crunching, and I looked into the Tesla and some electric vehicles, and they run around 30 to 50 amps to power them. Okay, that's not a tremendous amount of power. Now, when you go to the charging stations, like, oh, well, why are they 200 amps? Well, it's to charge your batteries and to charge them quickly. This, at 12 volts at peak, puts off 166 amps. Now, I'm not sure if they have to run at 110 volts. If that's the case, it only puts off, I think, 19 amps, I think it was. Don't quote me on that, which wouldn't be enough to meet demand. But this thing idling at, producing 50 amps at 12 volts is probably only going to burn a half a gallon an hour. Well, at 60 miles an hour, we're at 120 miles to the gallon. I mean, that seems like a pretty awesome fuel economy. So we still have your big electric motor. We got rid of our big batteries. You're still going to have a battery just to start anything. Got rid of our transmission because the electric motor, it just spins. There are no gears. There's no reason to have them. And we got rid of our big V8 engine. And this thing, you just saw me pick it up. I mean, if this power, and this is the generator and the engine that runs it. I mean, how easy is it to swap it out, and how low cost and low maintenance is it to put a new engine in it if you need to? And these little engines will last a lot of hours. And Honda and Yamaha, I mean, this is a really cheap one. Theirs are about $1,000, but they're so quiet you won't even hear them over the top of road noise. So your electric motor and all that stuff, there's no vibration, no engine noise, no nothing. And I'm overwhelmingly confident that this will power your basic car. Now, it's not going to power your big F450 pulling a 30,000 pound load, or of course your Tesla Semi that somehow can pull all this weight, even though the batteries it's carrying around weigh so much. I'm not quite sure how that math works out, because in my mind it doesn't. And they say, oh, the Tesla has such a low drag coefficient. Really? What's the drag coefficient on a D9 Cat or a 575E2, whatever it is, Komatsu? The biggest bulldozers on the planet. I mean, that's what we're towing with these things. That's the drag coefficient of the tractor makes absolutely no difference. But so even if you had to have say a 5 kW for a car, I mean, still only a gallon an hour at 60 miles to the gallon. So I've been wondering why we haven't gone this way for a while. It's like, well, does it get too good a fuel economy? It does, it gets rid of your big engine. It gets rid of your transmission. It gets rid of your batteries. I don't understand why we haven't gone this route. And I mentioned, like, okay, there's going to be growing pains. We're trying to figure some things out, and cool, that's fine. But I really don't know how this isn't the route we've been going. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And again, maybe my numbers are completely off, but still, I mean, I know a 5 kW generator will power your average sedan, and you might ask, well, why don't you go ahead and have a big battery so you can also run off your battery? I mean, you can, but why? Why drain your battery down to 20%, have that extra weight, and then you have to run this at maximum capacity to meet demand while going down the road and charge your battery? Or you get to where you're going, oh, I'm only on 30%. Let me just let my car idle and stay on to finish charging the battery. It makes no sense. And again, this electric car scam, you say the buzz phrase, 97% of scientists agree the climate is changing. Well, 97% don't agree that windmills are going to solve the problem, or solar panels, which I'm a big fan of solar panels, but different video. None of them agree that any of this stuff is going to solve the problem. There's absolutely nothing, like, again, no scientific research or anything that I've seen that says that these things are healthier for the environment. Okay, your wind turbines, the infrastructure you had to build, and I hate the philosophy of the same people that said this are these same people. Well, the same people that said drilling rigs were gross and disgusting are the same people that praise these wind farms that are permanent fixtures. I mean, the drilling rig goes away once you've drilled the hole. These wind farms are there to stay, and they'd have to run for 100 years to break even on what it costs to develop them. And again, you'd argue, take that third grade level of understanding of it and say, well, there's no perfect solution. Well, the solution to a problem should not be propped up by the old problem. It takes a lot of diesel fuel to build the roads. It takes a lot of diesel fuel to lubricate the gears in these things. The pickup trucks are to bring your crew out to maintain them, run on diesel. I mean, they're not charging these things with this wind turbine energy. It's off of coal. The heavy equipment it took to build these spider webs of roads to get maintenance crews to the wind turbines. I just don't see how none of these things are adding up to me and to a lot of people. Well, I think I put it all together for the most part. This video's already ran way longer than I meant for it to. So just recap. Let's go gas or diesel, electric. I try to recap and I always think of something I forgot. I actually came up with an invention that I can't share with you because it's not actually patented that will give any vehicle way better fuel economy, but I need to make a little cash to where I can justify throwing the money at it. And I wish I'd have done it 10 years ago. I actually came up with it about 15 years ago. I went through Invent Help and kind of got the ball rolling. I could have had it done by now. I could have made $100 a month payment or whatever the case was and had it done. But so yeah, this carbon footprint hoax. I mean, America doesn't have a low carbon footprint. It has an exported carbon footprint because China and India and all these other places make all of our products. And there's 3 standards of fuel emissions. There's a European, our standard, and then I don't remember the other one. But the American consumer is holding the bag for all this low emission stuff when the rest of the planet just runs amok with it. And it's just not fair to the American consumer or taxpayer. Okay, I got to dive into, it's another video, but the the emissions on diesel trucks that's destroying the engines. I talked about electric motors, which electric motors are fantastic. They run a lot of torque. I'm going to try to explain this to you. So internal combustion engine, you have a piston that runs up and down, and then you have a crankshaft that it spins, right? It fires every other time it goes up. And so once every 720 degrees, a 2-cylinder that they do this. So they fire, it goes boom, boom, nothing, nothing, boom, boom, nothing, nothing. So it fires twice in 180 degrees and then nothing for 540 degrees. Well, that's fine. So it does it twice in 360 degrees. Then you go to a 4-cylinder. Well, now you're firing, the pistons do this and it fires every 90 degrees of that crankshaft that's spinning, right? Now you cut that in half. Now you have a V8 that's firing every 90 degrees. Fantastic. I think I said 90 degrees twice. I meant 180 degrees in the 4-cylinder. And then you go to a V10. Now you're firing every 36 degrees. So that's where you get your more torque from. And you get a little more crankshaft, which is a very heavy internal moving part. So that's where you get torque too. Once you get inertia moving like a freight train, once you get it moving, it takes more to slow it down. With an electric motor, you don't have that problem. They're magnets, and then you have this drum that spins inside of it, and then they reverse polarities, and this whole thing just spins. I talked about getting rid of a transmission. Well, you don't need it. You can spin this thing up at however many RPMs you need to, and you can balance them almost perfectly, because in an engine, you're not, the crankshaft and the piston going up and down, you have to counterbalance the weight of those parts, and then you get a big inefficiency. Now, granted, I did point out the internal combustion generator that has that inefficiency. Okay, but it's been said that 1 gallon of diesel will power a battery-powered car for up to 50 miles. Fantastic, it's 50 miles to the gallon. So build the goddamn generator into the car. You talk about hybrids and taking the best of both worlds. I don't see how this isn't it, unless this whole thing is designed to not be an actual solution. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I mean, we hear about people that design water-powered cars or a gas engine that gets 100 miles to the gallon, and well, they end up suiciding themselves or whatever. So maybe you can't come up with too good of a solution. And the petroleum companies, I mean, come on. Everything I'm wearing right now, everything you see here, this is all petroleum-based hardware. So we're still going to need oil. It's just not as much of it. So the idea of, we're just going to get rid of petroleum products. Well, you're just replacing a oil field tycoon with a electric energy tycoon. So you're always going to be handled by your big corporate overlords anyway. So I'm not quite sure why people think that we're not being handled here. And there's also this conspiracy of, the mechanic shops are in cahoots with the automotive industries. They design things to break. Well, a vehicle's only going to last so long anyways, and mechanical stuff's always going to break. The shops don't need to have things be designed to fail and be total garbage to stay in business. And again, that was the video on buying a used car or whatever, and how long they actually last. They're only going to last 250,000 miles, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I'm seeing the same thing with electric cars. Again, there is a solution between the two solutions, but, government just keeps coming up with problems that they try to solve for us and act like the hero. So anyway, that's this video. I think I did okay on this. I know I bounced around a lot. I didn't do a very good job with my list and my notes, but I'm going to fire off another one here shortly about, various other things. Again, if you like my channel, stay tuned, or if not, nobody's forcing you to watch it. But if you're still listening, thank you, and hope to see you again. Have a good night.